So today we're going to be doing a review on Stash app investing. So we're going to talk about some of the pros and the cons when it comes to utilizing this service. And as we go through this video, if you decide to go ahead and get started with them, I'm going to have a link to them in the show notes down below for you to get started. Helps out support out the channel, but gets you a nice little starting bonus. Now, when we go ahead and go through this is my personal experience with Stash, but I've also used many other investing apps when it comes to getting started with investing in the market. And if at the end of this you decide to utilize this app, I'm gonna have some videos at the end of this showing you exactly how to utilize this platform. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with talking about, of course, some of the cons when it comes to utilizing Stash. And the biggest one for me is actually the cost of using the service every single month. They do have a subscription fee anywhere from $1 to $3 to $9 every single month. And in a world where a lot of different apps are free to use, it's really tough convincing myself to pay this amount of money every single month. We have apps such as Robinhood, Webull, and even M1 Finance that offer entirely free investing. So again, it's really hard to just justify spending any kind of money when it comes to just investing in general. Now, of course, one of the pros when it comes to utilizing Stash is they have a feature called Auto Stash, which for me is really great for a lot of beginner investors because it helps you kind of just stay consistent with investing, which is actually very critical in building up your portfolio and staying in the market. So Auto Stash is a great feature for a lot of those beginner users. Now, another big con for me is actually all the stuff that is on the main page of Stash. Now, when you load up the app, you should be really focused in on the fact that you are investing. But a lot of times, if you start scrolling around, you're going to get a lot of different service offers for you to start utilizing different things, and it just gets really complex. And for me, I just want to go into an investing app for investing and not all this other stuff. So on the home page, it seems to get a little convoluted with all this other information that I don't actually need. Now, as far as the different types of accounts that are available on Stash, this is a nice pro because not only do you get your taxable account, you can also have a retirement account, but one of my favorite things is you can also have a custodial account. Not a lot of regular investing apps like this have the custodial version, so having the ability to do this is a really nice thing. Now, on the con side of that is if you do want to have a retirement account, you do have to have the middle range subscription fee, which is $3. And if you want the custodial account, you do unfortunately need the highest tier, which is the $9. So even though it's a pro to have the custodial, it is a little bit of a con to have to pay as much as you do just to have access to it. Now, when it comes to buying and selling on the platform, this is actually a con for me as well because it feels like it takes forever to go through the process of buying or selling when it comes to Stash. Because for me, not that I need that purchase done right away because I'm not trying to day trade or anything else. I'm usually a long-term investor, but it just feels so ancient as far as the amount of time from hitting the buy button to actually having it buy the stock. And especially when it comes to selling the stock, it feels like it takes days for it to go through the process and actually have it back into your account. And it literally actually takes a day or two to actually show up into your account to utilize that money for other purchases. So definitely not the type of account for day traders or somebody that wants to quickly buy and sell because this is not going to be the option for you. Now, as far as a pro on what you can buy is, of course, many of the other stocks that you can buy on a lot of the other platforms, but also ETFs, which are great for a lot of beginner investors. So if you're somebody just getting started, ETFs are a great way to get started onto the account, and they do have those available for you. Now, a con on my side of things when it comes to looking at individual companies such as Apple or Microsoft is that they don't have any news articles on their actual page for those individual stocks. Now, it's not the biggest deal in the world because you can get that information on a lot of other sites, but the fact that there's nothing readily available for you to click on to take you to articles just is a little bit of a for me because I want to get that information out right away to see what some of the headlines are for these different stocks that I'm looking at or probably already own, right? Because if I want to learn more about Apple, I would like to see those news articles underneath the stock as I already own it. Now, another really nice thing when it comes to Stash is for a lot of beginner investors, it might seem really daunting on how to figure out which stocks to buy. And they actually do a great job of splitting things up so you can actually find stocks in a little bit of an easier manner. And so if you're looking for like a green energy company, they'll have options to kind of go into that area and find the different companies in that sector. Or if you're wanting like retail, or if you're wanting something in like the food industry, it actually breaks things down a little easier to search for those individual stocks if you don't have anything in particular that you're looking for. So another con for me when utilizing Stash investing is the fact that there's not an overall portfolio chart. I can't see how my portfolio is doing on that line graph. which makes it really tough for me. They do, of course, have, how much your portfolio is worth and how much it's gained or lost over time. But I want to see in a chart, where am I at in the last month or the last 3 months or maybe the last quarter or year or whatever the case may be. So that way I can get a better gauge on how the portfolio is growing over time. So without that chart, it just makes it a little bit more difficult, and it feels like I'm kind of just walking in blind with how my portfolio is actually performing. So another nice pro when it comes to utilizing Stash, especially if you're somebody who is kind of like a set and forget person, they do have a program called DRIP, which allows you to reinvest your dividends every single month. DRIP actually stands for Dividend Reinvestment Program, so that way that money that you're getting paid out from companies can go right back into those stocks and get reinvested, compounded, and having growth year over year, which is a really powerful thing to have, and it's really nice that Stash investing has this feature for you to utilize. Now, another con for me was actually the process of getting my bank account on file. Now, this is of course a personal experience, but it took me quite a little bit of time to try to get my account on there so I can start pulling money from my bank into Stash investing. Now, for me, it took me about 5 different tries to get a bank account, and I actually had to switch different banks so that way it would actually end up working, and it was a little bit frustrating. But overall, across the board, when it comes to the pros and the cons of utilizing Stash, I would have to say that this service is okay when it comes to getting started with investing. So if you're a beginner investor, this might be a decent app for you to get started with, but there are quite a few cons that really make it difficult for me to want to actually start utilizing it for myself. Now, giving this app a score 1 to 5, 5 being one of the top rated, this is gonna have to be a 2.5. Honestly, the fees on here are just really, really tough to get over, and the fact that it was just so jumbled on the homepage makes it really lackluster for me to get excited when it comes to looking at my portfolio, especially without that line graph. Now, like I said, there are some great pros when it comes to utilizing this, especially for beginner investors. And if you're somebody that wants to get started, check out that link down below. Otherwise, if you want to actually learn how to utilize Stash, check out my top video right over here. Otherwise, check out my bottom video right over here to learn about some other investing apps that you can start utilizing to get your investing journey started. My name is Dennis, and I will see you in that next video.